You know, when you hear thread rolling machine operation, it doesn't exactly scream exciting career, right? But trust me, we're about to change that. Today's deep dive takes us into a field that's way more interesting than meets the eye, and thankfully we've got RoleCatcher to guide us. They've got some really great resources that break it all down.
It really is a hidden gem of the manufacturing world.
So no more delay. Let's unravel this. What exactly does a thread rolling machine do?
Picture this. You've got a plain metal rod, and you need to put screw threads on it. Now, you could cut into the metal, but thread rolling is like sculpting. We use dies, special ones, to press against the metal with a whole lot of force. It actually reshapes the metal, cold forming those threads right onto the rod.
Ah, so instead of cutting away material, you're actually molding it into shape.
Exactly. And the cool part, this process makes the threads incredibly strong, way more durable than if they were cut.
Wow, that's pretty wild. I never realized there was so much science behind making a simple screw thread. Rollcatcher mentioned that this process is used in tons of industries. Anything that would surprise our listeners.
Think about cars. Did you know almost 80% of the fasteners in automobiles are made with thread rolling? All those screws, bolts, nuts. Chances are they got their start on a thread rolling machine.
That just blows my mind. You're right, it's one of those things we totally take for granted, but it's holding our world together, literally.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got these powerful machines meticulously shaping metal. What's it like to actually operate one? What does a day in the life of a thread rolling machine operator look like?
Well, if Rollcatcher's right, and they usually are, it's a real mix of technical know-how, precision, and even some problem solving. You're not just pressing a button, that's for sure. These operators, they're the ones setting up the machines, making sure they're calibrated perfectly to create whatever specific thread is needed. They're loading the metal, keeping an eye on things, and basically making sure every single thread is up to snuff, meeting those super strict standards.
Sounds like a lot of responsibility rests on their shoulders.
Yeah.
It's not just cranking out threads as fast as possible. It's about maintaining that insane level of precision and ensuring top-notch quality.
You hit the nail on the head. Quality control is king in this line of work. A single faulty thread can lead to some seriously bad news, especially in fields like, aerospace or construction, places where safety is absolutely critical.
Yeah. Can't have a screw coming loose on a plane engine because of a shoddy thread. Reminds me of that saying, the devil is in the details.
And those details, well, those are what thread rolling machine operators obsess over. It's all about precision.
So it sounds like being a thread rolling machine operator, it's a real craft. You need that technical knowledge, the hands-on experience, the works. You mentioned setting up and calibrating those machines, and I'm guessing it's not as simple as just turning a dial, right?
You're telling me we're not living in the Stone Age here. These modern thread rolling machines are practically mini computers. Operators need to be pretty tech savvy these days.
Really? What, like they need to know coding now too?
Not quite coding, but close. They got to program these machines, inputting all the specifics to get those threads just right. The form, the depth, how close together they are, everything.
Wow, so it's like, I don't know, digital sculpting with metal or something.
You got it. They work with technical drawings, measurement tools, and often even special software made just for that particular machine. Definitely not your grandpa's factory job.
That's for sure. And speaking of jobs, we touched on Rollcatcher's outline of career paths in this field earlier. What does climbing that ladder look like?
Well, it's actually pretty straightforward, which is kind of refreshing. You often start at the bottom, maybe as an assistant, learning the ropes from the veterans. As you get the hang of things, setting up the machines, operating them, troubleshooting when something goes wrong, you can move up, take on more responsibility.
So there's definitely room to grow, become the thread rolling guru everyone goes to for advice. What about those transferable skills Rollcatcher mentioned? Where do those fit in?
That's the cool part. Yeah, you're mastering thread rolling, but it's more than that.
Yeah.
You're picking up problem-solving, critical thinking, that eagle eye for detail. Those are golden tickets anywhere, especially in manufacturing.
It's like you're not just learning a job, you're building a superpower set that could take you anywhere.
Exactly. And the manufacturing world. It's changing faster than ever,
Yeah.
right? Technology is always evolving. Being able to adapt, pick up new skills, that's what's going to set people apart.
Which brings us to the elephant in the room, or should I say the robot in the factory. Automation. We've talked about how skilled you need to be for thread rolling, but how's automation changing the game? Are robots going to steal all the jobs? It's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Everyone's wondering if robots are taking over. Rollcatcher talks about how automation's popping up in thread rolling. What's the real deal?
Well, it's not some sci-fi movie robots taking over the factory just yet. But things are definitely changing. We're seeing more and more automation. Those high-tech machines that can pretty much run themselves. Loading the materials, even checking for quality as they go.
So are human operators going the way of the dodo?
Not a chance. In
Yeah.
fact, RoleCatcher actually highlights how much we still need those skilled operators, especially now with all this fancy tech. Someone's got to program those machines, fix them when they act up, and just generally make sure things are running smoothly. You can't just leave it all to a computer, Brent.
So it's more about, I don't know, leveling up your skills to keep pace with the robots.
That's it. It's like, remember that old saying, give a man a fish, he eats for a day, teach a man to fish, he eats for life.
Yeah.
Well, now it's like, teach someone to run a simple thread rolling machine. They're good for a while. But teach them to program and manage that whole automated system. They're set. Their skills are future-proof.
Makes you think twice about skipping those software tutorials. RoleCatcher also mentioned something kind of concerning. They were quoting the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and apparently traditional metalworking jobs, they might be on the decline. How does it impact someone just starting out in thread rolling?
That's where this whole idea of never stop learning really comes into play. Those routine jobs, they might get snatched up by automation, sure, but the need for those highly skilled operators, the ones who can roll with the punches, solve problems, guarantee that top-notch quality, that's not going anywhere. Got to stay ahead of the game, right? Always be learning, improving.
So if you're the kind of person who loves working with their hands but also gets excited about tech, loves a good challenge, thread rolling could be the perfect fit.
100%. It's where old-school craftsmanship meets cutting-edge technology.
Yeah.
And if RoleCatcher knows what it's talking about, and it usually does, those skilled folks who can bridge that gap, they're going to be in high demand.
This has been an awesome deep dive, to say the least. We've covered so much ground, from the nitty-gritty of how those threads are made to the whole automation revolution and what it means for the future. For anyone listening who's been eyeing a career in thread rolling, what's the one big takeaway you want them to remember?
I think it boils down to this. It's not just pushing buttons. It's becoming a master of this process. And this process, it's everywhere, holding our world together, literally. As tech keeps moving forward, the folks who are willing to learn and adapt, they're the ones who will not only survive, but thrive.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's about being the MVP, the one everyone wants on their team. A huge thank you to you for sharing your expertise today. And to our listeners, we hope this deep dive has given you plenty to chew on as you continue exploring the world of thread rolling. Until next time, keep those minds sharp and remember the future is yours for the taking.